I am here with none other than Dr. Yanina Gomez, who's also joining us for Breakfast with Sergio, episode 36. And today we're going to
Hi,
talk.
everybody.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about how to prepare for a long-term goal. First of all, what did you bring for breakfast?
Well, just like the last time I was here, my green shake. That's usually what I have from Monday through Friday. The big breakfasts that are for the weekends. When the kids are home, we're home, that's when I make, or we make, you or I make a good big breakfast for everybody, not just for the breakfast with Sergio friends.
I know.
But from Monday through Friday, it's just my green shake.
Awesome. Well, today, since you know, every time you come in, I have a big breakfast and you just have your shake. So I made myself something green as well. So I got my green drink. Also, your own green drink. So now
And
we're
my
both.
cup is matching.
There you go.
An awesome friend of mine gave me this once, and I'm matching my shake.
And there you go. Oh, today is Green Friday. So, all right, let's talk about long-term planning. And the reason I want to talk about long-term planning with somebody who just finished a long-term one-year project, which is your book,
Yes.
right? You just published this book, just came out on Monday.
On May 1st, yeah.
May 1st. It's called Moms Don't Quit, How to Influence, Empower, and Stay Connected with Your Twin or Teen in a Noisy World. So before we talk also a little bit about the book, let's talk a little bit about planning. This is something that you set up in your mind, and not only in your mind, but in your calendar,
Yes.
to work on this long-term project. So how did you prepare for, writing a book? Because here's the thing, a lot of people say, well, so, I have an idea for a book, I want to write a book, and we just don't do it. Or
Right.
maybe you are preparing for a long-term project, like would be a show. Maybe you're preparing for a show that's coming
Art
up,
fair coming
an
up.
art fair coming up, an event of some sort. How do you prepare? How do you plan for a long-term goal?
Wow. Basically, it's a process. It's not an overnight thing. It's a process. First, you have to, one of the things that I did is to identify my goal. And you have to be very, very clear about your goal. In my case, I wanted to write a book for mothers of twins and teens. And I identified exactly what I wanted to talk about. And I created a proposal, and then I used my proposal as my guide. But it was about really organizing yourself, committing. That's the first thing. You have to have a commitment mindset. That everything that you are going to do from now on, the decisions you're going to make are related to that specific goal that you are doing. That, every commitment, every proposition that comes along the way, you will, measure toward that goal. And if it's something that is going to make that goal get closer, then that's something that I will commit to. If it's something that will slow down my goal, that was something that I will definitely say no to.
Exactly.
So that's kind of like when you start, you have to kind of like, number one, identify the goal. Number two, create a mindset, commitment mindset that you're going to finish this goal. And number three, then, you have to be very, very jealous, very careful with your time and your energy, because, distractions will come, but you have to make sure that you stay on target.
Stay on track. And I know along the way, as you were writing this book, the Moms Don't Quit book, it's you had days in which, I remember you said, today is like I just have a hard time, but you still had to. You had already committed to this.
Right.
The deadline was your own deadline.
Exactly.
Right. So that's even sometimes harder, because a lot of times, we set up. If we have a deadline for an exhibition, well, there's a specific date on the calendar when that has to happen. Different. You cannot extend it. Now, when you set up a deadline yourself for something that you want to do, a project you want to do, a lot of times you feel tempted to, well, since I set up my own deadline, I can extend it and I can push it back and push it back. But how was it for you to actually, look at the deadline and say, this is a hard deadline, not a soft one that I can just keep pushing around?
Well, and that's the thing. To me, it's my deadline is, I treat it the same way as I would treat it if he was a publisher. So that was my deadline, and I worked for, I organized myself like what we call micro goals that will lead me to be able to fulfill that deadline. However, I have to admit that I passed my deadline for 2 weeks. And the reason why I passed my deadline for 2 weeks is because there were times in which nothing came to my head. Like I had like those author's blocks, and I was like, you know what? Instead of fighting that, I decided that when I had an author block, I just put the book aside, and I do something like what I call a joyful moment, something that will kind of calm me down and kind of like help me reground, and then I will go back to it. So it was, and I from the beginning I said this is going to be my deadline, but you know, I gave myself some time, like a cushion time, and it was 2 weeks.
Okay, good.
And I was able to, I did whatever it was necessary to meet that 2 week period. So,
Great.
you know, the truth is that things happen, life happens, and you have to be a little,
accommodating when that
and
happens.
kind of nice to yourself. You know, that don't punish yourself, don't push yourself down, but just be nice to yourself. I say, you know what, this is the reality. I'm going to need 1 more day or 2 more days. But don't use that as an excuse for procrastination. That's the difference.
That's it.
That's the difference.
That's right. I think you're absolutely correct. Absolutely right. And so, you know, I love this topic because, again, as artists, we have deadlines. You know, we have to work with deadlines, but we also have goals, and we want to set up goals for the future, set up goals that sometimes are challenging, right? And it's not only, like you said, only scheduling, working on planning and all that, but also saying no to things that otherwise will distract you from the book, right? Or for preparing the work for the exhibition, or whatever, you know, things that come the way, and you know, they look great, but they will distract you from the goal.
From the goal you have set for yourself.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, you know, about kind of saying no, because it is really hard sometimes to say no.
Yeah, it goes back to what I briefly mentioned at the beginning. You know, you once you have a goal, you have to make decisions that are aligned to that goal. If that decision helps your goal move forward, then you say yes. If not, it's okay to say no. And you know, for some people I know, because I had the same problem many years back, that it's hard to say no because they are like, oh, what if this ended up being like an amazing opportunity and I missed it? Well, then believe me, other opportunities will arise. It's all about having that abundant mindset that just because you miss an opportunity doesn't mean that you might have other opportunities along the way. But if it's distracting you from that goal that you have set for yourself, I really encourage you to say no. And if for whatever reason that person gets upset at you and say, I can't believe you did this, I can't believe you're saying no, then good that you're not working with that person, because you know you want to work with people that respect your goals, that understand that sometimes it's a yes and sometimes it's a no, and if that person is not like that, then believe me, you want to stay away from them. And there was another thing that I did that I really encourage you guys to consider, is the fact when I wanted to write this book, I'm a psychologist, so I know all about treating and diagnosis and all these different things, but I know nothing about writing. I did not know, I should say, back then, now I do, but back then, I didn't know anything about how to write a book. I thought it was like, oh, you just sit down and start typing. Well, soon after I thought that, I realized that no, that you really need a lot of skills. You really you have to know all these things. And I had 2 options. I had the option of using my time and energy that I could use to write the book to do research and Google on the internet. Okay, how do I write a book? What do I need to write a book? Once, you know, what are the steps I need to follow? How do you do this? Who do I talk to? Who will do my cover? Who will do my interior design? And what distributor? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, the list it's very intense when you want to write a book. So I could just Google that and spend hours and days that I am taking away from writing the book. Or, which is what I decided to do, is join a community of authors with a coach in there that will help me, you know, to go through the process and guide me step by step on how to write a book. Well, I decided that I'm not going to be wasting time and energy and effort in Googling it myself. So I decided to join a membership for authors in which they help me, my coach walked me through the entire process from the idea all the way to the printing, all the way to how to make money out of the book with programming, and the list goes on. So, you know, that's another thing, my friends. Sometimes we need to realize that we need help.
Right.
And then we need to be wise with our time. So sometimes we have to make that decision that we cannot do it alone, that we need to invest in ourselves and find other people that know and request their help.
Right.
You know.
So, and I think that was a big part of also accomplishing the goal, was to being part of a community, because you had the support of other authors who were also working in their books,
and a
also
coach who has done it many times, and he's fully aware of what to do.
Very cool. So those are great, great things to keep in mind when you're planning and when you are preparing for a long-term project. Maybe you are right now in the middle of a long-term project, and maybe you have gone sideways. And hopefully this video right now, this conversation will help you to kind of get back on track, to say, okay, this is what I'm working on, this is what I want to do. And that is so cool. So before we close out, Dr. Yanina, or Yanina, we have here in my hands, Moms Don't Quit. Tell us really quickly what this book is about, because right now is Mother's Day coming up. This is a great gift for any mom who has teenagers or pre-teenagers, or even little kids who want to prepare for the long run for being a mom of teenager kids, which we are parents of 2 teenagers. So tell us really quickly what
preteen and a teen.
Preteen and a teen. Tell us a little about what this book is about.
Oh, this book is, I put out my heart, my energy, and effort in this book and my professional experience. And basically what it is, it's about, I provide advice, tips, ideas, strategies, and to help moms to stay connected with their children, especially during these critical years. I teach them how to stay connected with them. I provide ideas, strategies on how to communicate with your child authentically. I teach about healthier discipline skills, going beyond grounding, going beyond taking away. There's other ways that you can discipline your child. I teach moms how to teach their values to their children, teach them to be responsible, to be independent. And I also, which I'm very excited, which is different from other books that are out there, is that I devote an entire part to help you, mom, live a fulfilling life, to detoxify your life and have a healthier self, so that you can have the energy, the effort to discipline and to raise your children confidently. So I equip moms, and I provide the tools necessary to raise preteens and teens in a healthier, more productive and happier way. So
awesome. Super cool. Thank you so much. So my friends, if you have teenagers or pre-teenagers in your house,
or if you know a mom,
exactly, that was my next sentence. Yeah, or if you know a mom who has pre-teens or teenagers right now, maybe struggling or maybe just preparing for that time of their life, that ride of their life. So make sure that you order Moms Don't Quit. You can find it at dryaninagomez.com, or also in Amazon and bookstores that carry the book as well. So super cool.
And I wanted to say before we go, it also comes with a downloadable workbook.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm all about action taking. So there's one thing that people always read a book and then they put it aside and that's the end of it. With this book, that's not my intention. I want you to read each chapter, identify what you're going to do, and take action and create a plan for that week that will lead you closer and closer to your child. So, yeah.
Awesome. Super cool. Well, and I want to thank everybody who's been sending messages. Sheila, Lisa, and Patricia, and a lot of other friends who you see the messages coming in the screen. Thank you so much for your comments. Super happy. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you continue on your path to achieving those goals that you set up for yourself, and hopefully this helped you. So my friends, I want to remind you, if you enjoyed this episode, go and check out all the other episodes of Breakfast with Sergio. You can find them in YouTube. Follow me on YouTube at Sergio Gomez Videos. You can also, of course, follow us on Instagram, Sergio Gomez Projects. And if you like the resources that we have here, check out our website at theartistnextlevel.com as well, where we have a lot more resources to grow your art career. Thanks, everybody. Let's enjoy our green drinks now.